Let's talk about Wonder Woman because this is something else that I don't think I've ever quite seen before. So, a couple things are going to happen in this video. I'm going to give you my thoughts on Wonder Woman, and I'm going to talk about the quite significant drop from 89% to 69% in critic scores on Rotten Tomato. I don't think I've ever seen quite a drop before. That's quite significant. But you know what this says? This is why you should never trust anybody that reviews something before an embargo. If someone puts a review up before embargo, they are a shill. There's a reason that they get to review something before an embargo lifts. That's because they're going to give you a safe and favorable review on the product. Very rarely do people that review something before an embargo give a movie or a video game or a television show a poor review when they have early access. Because the reason they don't do that is because they want to get more early reviews. If you ever see a review pop up before an embargo lifts, take it as a shill review. It will always be favorable or at least somewhat mediocre. You'll never hear too many bad things. But what a drop. I've done 2 videos on this film, and let me dispel some of that stuff right now. So there was some commentary, but it was slight. So Pedro Pascal as like a stand-in for Trump, I didn't think it was that bad. Not as bad as that one review was saying. And as far as this movie being some big mouthpiece on like feminism and stuff, I didn't really see that either. However, the film is a mess. The CGI for Cheetah is quite bad. The movie is 2.5 hours long. You could have cut that down by a half hour at least. There's very little action. The movie is very much a romance movie. My take on that, though, is some of that is the best parts of the movie. Gal Gadot and Chris Pine have great chemistry. So Diana Prince and Steve Trevor being together a lot of this movie is actually quite good. Them being together was some of the high points of this film, in my opinion. If you wanted to get a review number score out of me, I would say this movie is a 7 out of 10. That's not great, though, for the amount of money that they spent on this film. That's not great. That's average. This movie should have been an easy 8 or 9. Okay, I would say the first Wonder Woman movie was an 8. So, according to IMDb, Patty Jenkins not only wrote and came up with a story for this movie, but she directed it. She did not have these kinds of responsibilities for the first one, where she merely just directed. I think that that's part of the problem, and it really showed. This movie has a lot of flaws, and it's really telling to me when the shill media goes from an 89 to a 69. Go look that up. I've done 2 videos where I went over the Rotten Tomatoes scores for this movie. It was in the high 80s, and it dropped drastically. Okay, I think, did it go up a little bit? No. Yeah, it went down 69% as of 9:32 p.m. December 25th. It's early in the morning on the 26th right now, and it's actually dropped down a percentage point. The audience score is actually more favorable than the critics score. That's still pretty low, even compared to the original, which was in the high 80s, I believe, for the original Wonder Woman movie. Now, here's the funny thing. All right, so 266 ratings. If you look at how many people gave it rotten, 86 rotten. That's crazy. Then there's a lot of mediocre scores, and then, there's, of course, the shill scores that gave it a favorable review when they saw it before the embargo. This goes for people on YouTube as well. Early reviewers are usually somewhat compromised. Anybody that has early access, like I said, they want to get more early access to movies, so therefore, and video games. So therefore, they will give it a favorable review so that the company will say, well, we can trust this person not to trash it too hard. That's why you're always best to kind of wait and see how things go after some people have seen it or played the game. But here's what's funny. Now check this out. I was quite shocked by this. And then I'm going to go over a review where they talk about how Wonder Woman did something pretty problematic that will have spoilers. But check it out. So here are the rotten scores. Surprisingly, I got to tell you, the Mary Sue, I make fun of this website quite a bit, did not eat this up. The Mary Sue gave this a 2 out of 5. Ultimately, the weirdest thing about Wonder Woman 1984 is how devoid of hope and draining it is. Really shocked to see that. And then we have some more. There is actually another outlet quite like the Mary Sue called Bitch Media. Wonder Woman 1984 replaces girl power with empty platitudes. Wow. And, of course, this website considers itself a place where you can get snappy feminist news and analysis straight from bitch to your inbox. Sign up for the weekly reader. Like, websites and outlets that should love this movie hate it. The movie's a mess, okay? There's a lot of really cringy stuff and cheesy stuff in this film. Okay, it's a mess. A lot of people are going to say they downright hated it, and I fully understand it. There's some stuff that I liked in this film, and there's some stuff that I don't like, and there's actually a lot of cringe. It's okay in some moments, and then in some movies, I'm like smacking my head against the wall saying, why? There was one thing in this movie, though, I was really wondering what the media's take on it would be. So there'll be a little bit of spoilers here. So far, you can watch this video and not get a spoiler. At this point, though, there will be some spoilers starting right now. So this was your last warning. Steve Trevor, who is actually really good in the film. Okay, they don't treat him like a brain dead, weak man. He's actually pretty effective in the film. Like I said, the stuff between Chris Pine and Gal Gadot were fantastic. But here's the catch. So, of course, Steve Trevor is dead, if you've seen the original. He comes back due to the Dream Stone, which is kind of the central thing for this film. Now, the way he comes back is his soul inhabits another man's body. So it's not his body. Gal Gadot, Diana Prince, and Steve Trevor have sex in the movie. Now, the man who originally had this body, he had no control over this. Of course, this is a little bit of a problem. And I quote, "But this certainly is awkward. For several days, this unnamed guy loses control of his body while Steve and Diana have their harrowing adventures. He wakes up with, at minimum, a bunch of extra scrapes and bruises. Diana had sex with him at least once without his consent. The whole movie, they were risking this man's life without him choosing to get involved. Steve didn't have any choice either here, at least in regards to living in this guy's body, but Diana did. And when she eventually did renounce her wish in the third act, it's not because of any concern for that guy, but because she knew she had to in order to save the world. If the world had spiraled into chaos, she would have been happy to have Steve just take over this guy's existence until he died." The big thing here, though, is that Diana hooked up with him and that the guy that Steve took over didn't consent how his body was used. I was actually surprised that they are at least acknowledging that. That's a big gain. Because usually they don't acknowledge stuff like that. Now, if it had been reversed and it had been, Steve and Diana's in another girl's body, that would have been the end of the world. But we'll see how far they take this problematic thing. I think that would be quite funny to watch. I was really shocked to see the score drop down that low. that was quite shocking. I thought usually, a girl power movie, these things are usually hailed as the greatest things ever, even if they're very mediocre. But this is a mediocre movie, in my opinion. It's a 6 or 7 out of 10. If you have HBO Max, I would say give it a watch, but don't. I definitely wouldn't pay anything more than a free subscription to HBO Max to watch it. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is quite a fall from grace. I really wonder how that Star Wars Rogue Squadron movie is going to turn out after this one, because if Patty Jenkins is writing and directing that movie, that's not a good sign. This was quite a fall from grace compared to the original Wonder Woman, I gotta say. But not super woke, not a big slam on Trump. So if that's something you were like really worried about, I didn't see too much of it. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about all this. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.